Yo, what is good, everybody? This your boy.
It's Brian.
This is the Courtside View podcast, and we are back today, and we are reacting to Week 11 of the NFL. Now, we got a lot to discuss because this was a big week in the NFL. It was a lot of big matchups, and we're getting close to the fourth quarter of the regular season. And I mentioned this weeks ago in advance. I said, look, we're not going to really know who are the real contenders until close to Thanksgiving. Now we're here. Now we can finally determine, okay, these are the real dudes. These are the real teams that are actually going to compete for Super Bowl. And then we got the other teams that looking real shaky. But let me get through this. Number one, let's go to the first game. We mentioned this off screen, but we was talking about Kansas City versus Denver. Now, I didn't have the opportunity to watch this game, but I did watch the film on Kansas City. And what I really noticed a lot about Kansas City is it was a lot of quick game. They were making it a point of emphasis of really um, getting the ball out of Mahomes' hands quick, early, often, so they can minimize the pass rush from getting to Mahomes because their offensive line, I guess, is still very shaky from the beginning of the season. It seems like they still haven't figured out how to consistently protect Mahomes for a long period of time. So they kept doing that. And ultimately, if you know, Brian, and I definitely know because my team is dealing with this right now, that quick game stuff where you're doing 11, 12, 13, 14 play drives, it's going to be very difficult for you to consistently generate points because there's going to be times where, oh, ball start here, holding here, penalty here. And that's what happened with the Kansas City Chiefs on a number of occasions. And then also, another thing that has continued to be a common theme for Patrick Mahomes is his lack of deep ball accuracy. Early in the game, he wasn't able to connect with I want to say it was Tyquan Thornton and it was the other receiver, Xavier
Worthy?
Worthy. Yeah. He missed two big play potential plays. And they were just point blank misses. These were big plays that could have changed the outcome of the game, changed the momentum of the game, and he just couldn't connect with them. And that hurt them going forward because after that, they weren't able to generate a whole lot of big plays. And it was a lot of short, inter, not even a whole lot of intermediate throws. It was just a lot of short passes. And ultimately, they were only able to score 19 points. And that interception that Mahomes threw, I believe it may have been close to the red zone. I could be wrong. Regardless, he threw the interception, and it was a really bad. That was just a bad read by Mahomes. I know he was trying to make something happen out of the pocket. He was moving to his right. The pass rush was coming. I understand, but you can't make that throw in that situation. And Denver was able to capitalize off of it. I haven't looked at the turnover battle, but I'm pretty certain the Denver Broncos probably won the turnover battle, and that's a huge thing in matchups where it's very close. It just seems like Kansas City in 2025, they don't look the same. They look like a completely different team, top to bottom. They don't look as talented as they once were. The offensive line, defensive line isn't as dominant as it once was. And teams like Denver, who normally Kansas City beats because of their experience, because of their talent, are not able to beat those teams anymore. And I'm wondering, Brian, why is that? Like, what do you think is the determining factor for why the Kansas City Chiefs right now? I believe they are 5-5, tied with the Ravens. By the way, remember the Ravens? They were like one in whatever record. They are tied with the Ravens at 500, and we are going into I believe, week 12 of the season. Who would have thought that? What is your thoughts?
Uh, this team is not the same Chiefs we've been accustomed to, or maybe they are the same Chiefs. But last year, let's not forget that they won a lot of close games last year. They skated by all throughout the regular season, and then once January hit, the Chiefs did the Chiefs thing. But is this now more so? It's just catching up to them. They not getting away with it this year like they were the previous year, and
Hmm,
also the offensive play calling is just.
man,
I don't. It's just like, are we calling plays like we don't have Pat Mahomes on the team or what? Like his yards per attempt is down a whole yard compared to some of his best seasons, and it's like you have the dudes on offense to make it work. And I know Denver. Kudos to Denver. They're one of the probably top three defense in the league right now. They got crazy pass rush and all of that good stuff. But man, it's just his offense is not fun to watch as of right now. And part of the reason is that you can't run the ball. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, oh, he ain't even play. Kareem Hunt, I mean, what he's supposed to be like a RB2 at best. And he had to take RB1 snaps. And that's just not ideal. Like you really could have had Jonathan Taylor on this team, but you drafted Clyde Edwards Hilaire because of the LSU gas.
hmm,
And then the GM Brett Veach, what the trade deadline was happening, they didn't want to give up a third round for Brees Hall. Why not? Brees Hall would have added so much more dynamic ability to this offense, but you ain't want to give up a third round pick in the supposed contender window. It's not like y'all in a rebuild or anything. You got to keep all your draft picks. You literally have a Super Bowl contending roster. Why not give up the capital to help the offense out? And on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, it's not even. I can't really get on the defense too much for because Bo Nix didn't throw for any touchdowns. I mean, I don't know. This offense is really the reason why this team is 5-5 through 11 weeks of the season, and then the schedule
yeah,
ain't getting too much easier either.
it's not. It's not. And I'm looking at Mahomes' air yards per attempt. They're 6.9. And if you know about air yards per attempt, you know that that's pretty short in terms of air yards. Short is 0 to 9. Intermediate is 10 to 19. So that just lets you know that a lot of his air yards were short passes. And this is a problem when you're going up against a team like the Denver Broncos who are an elite defense with arguably an elite pass rush. They were trying to protect him and make sure that they minimize the amount of pressures and sacks. But it didn't really work because they still were able to get to Mahomes 3 times. They still were able to affect some of his passes, and he turned the ball over once. And Mahomes gave up a sack on a key down during the game. I believe at the end of the game, I think he got sacked. So these are just problems. I don't know where the Kansas City Chiefs can go from here. But they always figure out a way in the playoffs. But I just don't know if this year they can get away with subpar offensive line play and also subpar play calling because at the end of the day, Mahomes, you got to let it loose. And if you can't let it loose, then that's a problem. Because in the playoffs, it's going to come down to guys got to make plays and explosive plays. And if you can't get the explosive plays, then you're really putting your offense behind the 8 ball if you can't generate any explosive plays. I know. I'm the first to know about a team not being able to generate explosive plays, the Packers. So I understand that. It's just the Chiefs, man. It just seems like this offense. There's nothing easy about this offense. It's very hard. Like most of the things that they do is very difficult. And when they're able to generate an easy look on the outside, Mahomes isn't able to consistently deliver the football. So I'm just wondering where's going to be that silver lining for them? When are they going to be able to click? Because as of right now, outside of those 2 weeks that they had, the 1 week without Rasheed Rice, and then the week he came back, their offense has been very underwhelming. So I'm just wondering, this final stretch of games, are we going to see an elite Chiefs offense, or is this going to just continually be the theme for the Chiefs going forward? I haven't looked at their schedule, but you mentioned that it's not going to get easier. I think that was the first time they played the Broncos. They're going to have to play the Broncos again. And then they're going to have to play the Chargers again. These are not easy teams to beat. You can't play the Raiders every single week. So, and they got the Colts. Remember, I think they have the Colts next week. So you
Yep.
got to worry about the Colts as well. And we're going to see how that looks like next week, because I'm very curious how the Colts are going to play against the Kansas City Chiefs. Because as of this moment, I think the Colts are the most complete team in the AFC. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. Kansas City, they still got Mahomes, they still got Andy Reid, but at the end of the day, football is a 53-man roster, not one player. And in order to win the playoffs, you need 21 guys on the field, offense, defense, to contribute. 22 guys. Yeah, because it's like 11 guys. You need 22 guys to compete on that field at an elite level. And if your offense and your defense isn't able to compete at an elite level, doesn't matter how great the quarterback is. Doesn't matter how great the offensive coordinator or the head coach is. Because it comes down to the number one thing is that it's the foundation. It's the offensive line and it's the defensive line. And I think the story of this season for the entirety of the NFL has been the trenches. It's that O line and it's that defensive line. And that's why the Broncos are continuously winning games. That's why the Colts have continuously won games. Is because of those trenches, which is very important. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to the
The
next game.
the
What are
rate
you gonna say?
The Chiefs only have 2 conference wins so far, which is not
Yeah.
ideal if you're trying to really get high positioning in the playoffs. They lost to the Broncos, Bills, Jaguars, um, yeah, and Chargers.
Chargers. Yeah.
So those shoot, 2 of those games was in your own division. They definitely got it. They low key. I ain't gonna lie. They can only afford about 1 loss for the rest of the stretch of
Wow.
this game
Really?
because
Really? I'm looking at the schedule right now. They have the Colts. They have Cowboys, which I still think that's an intriguing game. I know,
it's gonna be a hard out.
Cowboys. It's going to be a hard game. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be on Thanksgiving too. That's going to be fascinating to see. Then you have the Texans with that defense. You have the Chargers, who are no slouch. You lost to them beginning of the season. You got the Titans, who okay, that's a gimme. You have the Broncos again. You just lost to the Broncos. Now you play them at home on Christmas, but it's the Broncos, very difficult team. And then you have the Raiders, which is a gimme, but it's still a division game. Can't count them out just yet. So I got to look at this playoff picture also because if they're 5-5 right. What is the
I
playoff
believe I
picture?
saw a graphic on ESPN. It said, or it was NFL Network. It was one of those. I think it said if the Eagles, if the Chiefs lose to the Colts next week, the playoff percentage chance drops to 12, I believe. But if
Mm,
they win, I believe it remains. It's not even. I have like 30 something percent.
hmm
So yeah,
Let me
they
see.
they they got to run the table.
I'm looking at this. Look at the conference. So I'm looking at the conference right now, and we got Jacksonville 6-4, Houston is 5-5. Oh, like I think they can get Houston. I, the thing is, They lost to Jacksonville. That was a huge loss. I don't know. I know they do. They obviously do conference record. If you're not going to win your division, they're going to go conference record. And Jacksonville, I'm looking at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is 4-2 in the conference, while Kansas City is 2-4 in the conference. Jacksonville got a game up on Kansas City. They're 6-4. Kansas City is 5-5.
They
No,
could
I
sneak
don't.
in.
I think. Oh, I guarantee Kansas City is gonna sneak in. I'm not gonna bet against Kansas City, but they got some. They got some. They got to climb up a little. They got to bring on some wins because I think Baltimore or Pittsburgh will make the playoffs. I think it's only going to be one team in AFC North. Colts are making the playoffs. Patriots are making the playoffs. Broncos, obviously. Buffalo's making the playoffs. Chargers are making the playoffs. You have one more slot, I believe. And it's between the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's the Houston Texans, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm
Oof.
putting all my money on Kansas City, but y'all, the way Kansas City is looking right now, I got to look at Jacksonville's schedule too. Jacksonville. Look at Jacksonville's schedule. So Jacksonville has the Cardinals, the Titans, Colts, Jets, Broncos, Colts, Titans. The only two games. No, they have three games where more likely they're gonna lose. But they got like 1, 2, 3, 4 gimmies. 4 gimmies. That's crazy. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they got 4 games that they should win going away. Now it is Jacksonville. They are prone to mistakes. I ain't gonna lie. They're one of those teams where they'll lose to a Tennessee Titans team in week 18. But Kansas City, yo, it's not looking easy. You got to string on some wins because Jacksonville, as of this moment, all they got to really worry about is the Colts twice and the Broncos. That's 3 games. Every other game, I had Jacksonville as the favorites. Cardinals, Titans twice, Jets. They control their own destiny. It's that simple. All right. Let's move on to I want to go to the Eagles versus the Lions game. I picked the Eagles to win this game because I thought that the defense was going to be enough to affect the outcome of the game. And it did. I thought that the Lions offense was really rattled and just not generating any sort of momentum throughout that game. Jared Goff looked uncomfortable. And I think another thing that has really shown itself throughout this entirety of the season is not having Ben Johnson, and then also losing your Pro Bowl / All Pro caliber center, I think it was, who retired, Frank Ragnow, if I'm not mistaken. Losing
He
him
did.
was a huge loss for them. I think the fact that they lost their premier offensive coordinator and then you lose a key player on your offensive line has really hurt this Lions team. Jared Goff just doesn't look as comfortable as he used to. And I think it's a bad sign that Dan Campbell, he said, no, I'm going to start calling plays. That lets me know that he's not satisfied with what's going on with the play calling from the offensive coordinator that they promoted in house. So there's a lot of trepidation and problems going on with this Lions team that we thought was going to be corrected by this time. But no, it's just not that simple. And we've talked about this many, many weeks. Football, every season is different. Guys leave, guys retire, coaches go to new teams. And this team, it seems like their window was last year. And it doesn't
Remember
matter.
Dan Quinn said after the NFC Championship game, this might have been our only shot.
This might have been our only shot. And even this season, they're dealing with so many injuries. We thought coming into the season, okay, they're going to be healthy. They're going to get it together. And now we can finally see the complete team that we were robbed of last year. Well, we're still waiting because guys are still out with injuries. Corners are still out with injuries. The back end is all beat up. It's insane how injured they are. You look at their injury report and you're going to see like damn near 20 guys on the injury report. You're like, what the hell is this? They're just a team that unfortunately they have bad luck. And they missed their chance last year because everything was perfect for them. They had the perfect play caller, they had the perfect defense, they had the perfect amount of talent on both sides of the ball. And yet injuries plagued their team. And now this year it's continuing to plague their team, except now they don't have their Pro Bowl center and they don't have their all world elite level play caller because he's with the Bears now doing an incredible job with whatever is going on with the Chicago Bears. On the
So,
Eagles side of things, I wanted you to talk about the Eagles, please.
uh, yeah, I will. But one thing, crazy thing about this year's Lions team, like the defense is improved. Like the defense has taken a big step in the right direction under Kelvin Shepard. I believe that's his name. I don't know if it's Kevin or Kelvin. I want to say it's Kevin Shepard. But they're playing good. They held the Eagles to 16 points with that offense, and Saquon wasn't even going crazy. Like you're supposed to get a win right there. You're on the road. It's prime time. You hold the team to 16 points. I know it's like windy and all kind of stuff. So blah blah blah. But man, you got to get a win there. There were so many times. And listen, I know Dan Quinn. I said Dan Quinn. Good grief! Obviously, work is corrupting me. I'm hearing too many Dan Quinn talk. But Dan Campbell, I know he prides himself on being aggressive and going forward on fourth down. But sometimes, bro, you got to kick the field goal. You got to take the points. Imagine if they would have took the points instead of trying to convert on all of those fourth downs. We could have been talking about a whole different thing right now, as far as the outcome of this game goes. And this another thing, this is a problem I have with Jared Goff. He turned into a pumpkin this game. Under any type of pressure, he folded because he looked like he was seeing ghost out there. I mean, every time the Eagles was getting after him, they were getting after him. He's not the most mobile QB either, but he just looked like lost. I'm like, yo, this dude is you. If this was a non QB wasn't paying all this money to, I'd be like, you got to take him out the game because it was that bad. It was like he couldn't complete a throw at one point. Whether it was an easy 5 yard out, anything, he literally could not complete the throw. It was just bad. And Jahmyr Gibbs, he was killing the Eagles, but yet instead of getting him in space, they just want to do these old generic runs up the center. I'm like, no, you can't do that against this team. You don't have the dog in there. And what was the biggest strength last year was the offensive line. Their offensive line is a Teflon this year. They got a rookie in Rutledge playing right guard. Panay Sewell still Panay Sewell, but like you said, the center retired. Left tackle is in left guard. Like they have they have some weaknesses on that line. They can be exploited in that department. That's how we saw Jalen Phillips look like a freaking all-pro edge rusher out there. And with that, I'm gonna transition to the Eagles side of the ball. This Eagles defense, honestly, they just won the Super Bowl. We saw how they were. This defense might be better than that last year's defense team
Oh,
because like they aren't even blitzing all that much. They're literally getting so much pressure with four. It is insane. Like Jalen Carter is a game record. Jalen Phillips, like Dolphins, why are you trading with this dude? Stop it. You just gave him this Jalen Phillips who all of a sudden looking like freaking Jason Taylor out there. And it's just ridiculous, man. I can't stand the daggone Eagles. But Quinyon Mitchell's a good player. I mean, Amon Ra was in Rikers. It was all night. It was this. He couldn't do nothing with him. Jameson Williams got his game off a little bit, but other than that, it was a really good night for the defense. You hold this high power offense to 9 points. That is a
crazy.
big win. That is a big win. On the offensive side of the Eagles, let me tell you something. I know this defense is all world and all that stuff. Let me tell you something. You score 16 points against the Rams if you want to in January and see what happens. Because I'm telling you, they're gonna find a way, they're gonna figure it out. If that defense can't stop down the Rams, I do not trust the Eagles to win a shootout against one of those against like the Rams. In my opinion, I just don't, because as of right now, you fed AJ Brown, but it didn't really amount to anything. Like you was trying to do the buddy, but I think AJ Brown had 11 targets or something crazy like that. It was there wasn't the yards didn't feel like they had any impact. Devonta Smith ain't really get much looks this game. They got to figure out. I don't know if this offense will ever get figured out, because we're in week 11 and we're still saying the same things that got them in trouble against Denver. They got them in trouble against the Giants. They had them in trouble against what other team did they
Shoot, my Packers, they only scored
yeah
10 points.
yeah exactly like this isn't a sustainable winning form unless you think you could pull a 2015 Broncos where the offense don't do much and you're just going to ride the defensive championship. I don't see that happening, but it's just not good. Kevin Patullo, that dude is garbage. And then now we got reports coming out that the team is frustrated with how Jalen Hurts is handling zone coverages. He's not throwing in tight windows and stuff like that. I'm like, they're winning in spite of it all, but this is not a good omen for the future. Because when is it? Because it's not sustainable. One and two, you're going to play these upper echelon teams. I know they beat the Rams, but I don't think the Rams is
That
the
was
same
early in the
team.
season.
Yeah, then that's not the same team. We're in mid-season form for most of these teams, so yeah. Honestly, if they were to line up against the Rams in January, which they probably will, I take the Rams in that matchup because the Rams, they just look more like a complete team offensively and defensively. But as then right now, the Eagles, they're the one seed in the conference right now, and I don't think their schedule is particularly tight. I know they got the Commanders twice. They're probably gonna beat them because they just have their number. They got the Cowboys next. If they lose to the Cowboys next week, things get very interesting.
Let me tell you something else that came out just recently. Lane Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
he suffered an injury.
Oh yeah,
He's
he
gonna
list Frank sprain or something
he's
like that.
potentially could go to injured reserve. Now,
Yeah,
obviously, his season isn't over, but dude, that could have potential effects in terms of the playoff order going on. Like you can win your division, but you may not have home field advantage like what you had last year in terms of going up against the elite teams. Last year, the Eagles were able to take advantage of the fact that they had home field advantage throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Some of that has to do with the Lions' woes because they lost to the
yeah,
Commanders.
that is
This
true.
year, it doesn't seem like they're going to have that advantage. They're going to have to go on the road against either the Seahawks or the Rams, and maybe even another team if they're not able to get some wins going without Lane Johnson. Because right now, a lot of these teams in the AFC, it's a crapshoot. From one that like, let me see,
The
NFC.
number one seed is the Patriots, and I believe it's the Broncos. Then I believe it's the Broncos, and then the Colts, then the Chargers. You got Jacksonville in the mix. Steelers still in the mix because they're the division leader. Chiefs,
Just
I believe.
focus on
Yeah.
the NFC right now. I just want to focus on
Oh, you said
NFC. So
AFC
look,
first, so I thought you
no,
must
no,
have got
no, no,
confused.
no. I said NFC. I said NFC. So NFC, I'm looking at it
AFC.
right now, and the Eagles are the number one seed mainly because they won against the Rams, so that's going to be the tiebreaker. And they're 7-1 in their conference. And I'm looking at the Rams; they're only 3-2 in their conference, which is very interesting. The fact that the Eagles are 7-1, they're 3-2. Anyway, Eagles are still the number one seed, but I'm wondering, are they going to be able to stay afloat without Lane Johnson? Because he's arguably their best offensive lineman, and he's the left tackle. Left tackle is the most important position on offensive line. How are they going to be able to fill that void when he's potentially out for 4 weeks coming up in one of the most important stretches in the regular season? So I'm wondering how is that going to work? Because Seattle, um, the Rams, even to a certain extent, Chicago, like Chicago, I know like Chicago's not a serious team, but they are 7-3 and they have a pretty easy schedule. Tampa Bay in that pathetic division. Yo, Philly, I'm just saying that offense, if you can't generate enough points, look at my Packers and how we're struggling. Yeah, we're 6-3-1, but we lost to the Carolina Panthers. We lost to teams we were supposed to beat, and it's because our offense couldn't generate enough points. If the Eagles have that same problem, yeah, you can win the NFC East because most of the teams in the NFC East are either mediocre or garbage. But what about the playoff picture? What about the top four seeds in the NFC? Are you going to be at the top of the NFC where you have home field advantage, where you have a bye, where you can have the advantage of getting guys healthy? Or are you going to be in the wild card and then potentially on the road against one of these elite teams like the Rams or the Seahawks? I'm just saying, you got to think about that because that changes everything for the Eagles. Just saying. Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy.
My mic was muted. I will that injury timeline for Lane Johnson. It doesn't really make sense because Liz Frank injuries, even though they said it's a sprain, that is still a long recovery process, especially because Lane Johnson is a big dude. So
Mhm.
it's been Liz Frank injuries take people out for a season and some change because like it's literally such an essential part of your foot. Like that literally is like the part of foot that helps you like flex and stuff like that outside of the Achilles tendon. But it's I don't, but I'm not buying it. I think he's going to go on IR. If they try to rush him back, that's going to end in disaster because all it would take for one misstep and season over. I think they need to protect Lane Johnson, especially he's 35. Like, come on now,
Yeah.
we got to start being serious here with these injury timelines. I know they don't got to be like, okay, we're gonna send him to IR, because you don't just have to you don't have to report it if at this moment. But yeah, I'm not buying that about 3 weeks nonsense. I think that'd be crazy if they brought him back that soon.
Yeah, I will say that their schedule, let's say Lane Johnson misses 4 weeks. I'm looking at their schedule. They have Dallas, Chicago, the Chargers, Vegas. These are all games that they can win just off of the strength of their defense. But it's not going to be easy. Chicago, as much as I want to crap on Caleb Williams, mediocre quarterback, at the end of the day, they can run the ball. They have a lot of talent. Ben Johnson is an amazing coach. You can't sneeze on him. Dallas, amazing offense, good running game. Dak Prescott is playing really good. You can't
Quentin
ignore them.
Williams,
Quentin Williams, those guys, you can't ignore them. Division opponent at Dallas.
and we all
That's
know how
something you can't
Dak
sneeze at.
likes to play against the Eagles. It's
The
always a close
Chargers,
game.
the Chargers. Now, Chargers, they can be a bit iffy. They just got their ass whooped by Jacksonville last week, which was a crazy game in
Yeah,
itself. I
was
can't believe That was one of the weirdest games, weirdest outcomes I can remember. But the Chargers, you can't ignore them. But they can still win that game because they're the Chargers. And then the Raiders, it's just the Raiders. Anybody can beat the Raiders. So it's not the worst schedule in the world, but it's still not the easiest. It's not going to be a cupcake. It's not going to be a layup. But they can win these games. I'm just curious if they're going to run the table. Is it going to be a split 2-2? And if it is 2-2, who are what are going to be the losses? Is what I'm wondering.
Good question. Good question. I mean, I think that obviously the Cowboys game could always be a loss. I had them splitting the series, the season series coming in the off-season predictions. I still think it's going to happen just because like Dak doesn't lose at home to any NFC East opponent, and we haven't. This is going to be like one of the few times we get to see a Dak versus Jalen Hurts matchup where most of the well, actually, I can't even say most of the team is healthy. They lost Lane Johnson, but anywho, I'm looking forward to that matchup. I think the Cowboys could get him. Do I think the Eagles main? I think the Eagles stay. They'll stay afloat. I think they can honestly win 3 out of the next 4, just because that defense is just so good, and the Chargers offense is so iffy. Like I don't know.
What about the running game? Because Barkley only had 83 yards rushing, and you mentioned AJ Brown. Yeah, he got like 11 targets, but he only had 49, receiving yards. So uh, I don't know, man. Like it's just
That
it's
offense is
hard.
going to continue to be a problem because we're in week 11 and they still haven't figured anything out. Like they had like one good passing game, maybe 2, and it's just like, oh, people, oh, they made a figure something. They ain't figured nothing out. That offense is route concepts are still bad. Jalen Hurts still isn't hitting the deep throw like that. People say his specialties. Oh, he's really good at the deep ball, but like not this year.
Hmm.
And like you said, Saquon Barkley, he hasn't been doing much of anything. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Play calling is just bad.
yeah. You know what? With that being said, I think we can move on to the next game. I want to talk about the Bears and Vikings game.
Whew.
Where do we begin? Because talk about two teams that went opposite direction after they played one another the first week of the season. Because we thought coming in, okay, Minnesota beats the Bears. All right, Minnesota, they're going to go on a little run. They're a pretty good team. They came back, beat the Bears, and then all of a sudden, injuries started to amount for the Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy went out. They were able to get a couple wins, but ultimately, over time, they just started racking up losses. And JJ McCarthy came back, beat the Lions, and then it just hasn't been good since. And I'm wondering, boy, um, when do you give up on a quarterback when you invested so much into that quarterback and this is their first year starting? Like, when do you just acknowledge that this was a mistake?
Honestly, you really got to play this out to the end of the season. I don't think they're going to make like bench him or anything again. You just kind of got to. Hopefully, he figures something clicks for him. I know he only started 5-6 games or so. So,
Yeah.
that's a super small sample size for a QB that's essentially in their rookie year. But for what he's shown us, it's not good. It's just that he's just not good. And the moment you got Justin Jefferson, who was widely touted as the #1 receiver in the league, crashing out, and we ain't never seen him do that with Kirk Cousins or any other QB. And he had some real funk at QB at some point. At points, and he ain't even do this. He is crashing on the sideline, about to throw his helmet and some more stuff. It is bad, and unfortunately, I hope it doesn't get to a point where they have to make a change, or the locker room gets lost, because though this offense is putrid. I mean, good grief. JJ
So
McCarthy, 32 pass attempts, 150 yards, 150 yards in the 4 quarters of football. 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Now I know the Vikings had some drops and stuff like that, so he's not fully at fault. But boy, Kevin O'Connell can't get nothing out of you. That that says something. The defense did all they could. You held the Bears to 19 points. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. Why does he wait to the fourth quarter to want to do something? Who knows? Maybe he should just sub him in the fourth quarter if they down or have him be like a baseball closer. We're gonna have this starting QB 1 through 3, and we're gonna bring JJ McCarthy in the fourth to close out the game. But as it stands right now, this offense is terrible. I know the front office probably kicking himself in the butt for letting Sam Darnold walk.
Oh yeah, because they went on. He
Even
went
though
on
Sam
good
Darnold
in
he,
this
he
year.
threw like 4 interceptions against the Rams,
Yeah,
but
he
at least they
did.
were
Hey, but
still
they
in
still
it.
good though.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were still in it. Yeah, so I know they kicking himself in the
this
butt.
game. Ooh. EPA per play is bad. Completion percent is 50%. Yards per attempt 4.7. Um, he was. Let me see what else. Air yards per attempt 9.3, but hey, it doesn't really matter. Good lord. 16 for 32. 16 for 32 passing. It's just not going to cut. I haven't seen the film, but I've seen enough JJ McCarthy to know what he is and what he's not. What he is somebody that is incredibly inaccurate, is somebody that's late on throws, somebody that, like you mentioned, only reads one side of the field, which is hilarious to me when you point that out. And it just seems like he doesn't have the feel for the game just yet. He seems like a guy that should be sitting on the bench for 3 years. That makes sense. He seems like a guy that didn't get enough reps in college,
He did it.
and now it's showing itself in the NFL like what we predicted, and that is at Michigan, it was very run dominant, very run heavy, and he only threw the ball maybe 25 times, 25 times. He was a game manager, and he was being evaluated as this guy that can take a team to the next level, an incredibly accurate thrower, an incredibly precision thrower. And I'm just like, do you not understand there's levels to this? Even with some of these scouts, it just seems like they fall in love with the traits, with the talents, and they forget that reps are important. Reps are really important. And I think going forward, and I believe I'm predicting this right now, a lot of the college QBs, and I've been hearing this from, I think it was Todd McShay, the Dante Moores, the Lenore Sellers, the Ty Simpson, I think is going to come out, and I think Fernando Mendoza is going to come out. But a lot of these top quarterbacks that have we've heard and potentially going to an NFL draft, don't be surprised if they elect to stay another year just to get more reps, just to get more starts. Because when we look at the past 5 years with a lot of these quarterbacks, when they don't have enough reps and they're getting picked early in the draft and you're starting them early at the beginning of their careers, they look like deers in headlights. They're not ready to be under center. And I think with JJ McCarthy, I think that's the same thing. He's played in big games. We understand that. Obviously, he's played in national championship games. He's played in college football
Speaking of the national championship
Final
game,
Four games.
if you had to guess how many pass attempts he had in that championship game, how many would you say?
Damn, that's a good question. I think he had like 15,
18.
18. I was close.
140 yards.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot. Yeah.
That was enough to go 11 in the draft or 13, whatever you got your pick. That is insane.
But we pointed this out during the draft process. Matter of fact, during the time where there was like hype around like certain QBs, the Penixes, the McCarthy's, the Caleb Williams, the Drake Mays, the Jaden Daniels. We were talking about this. We were talking about how when comparing these QBs to JJ McCarthy, like JJ McCarthy, this is the one of the things I don't understand with Darren Orlovsky sometimes is like he falls in love with some of these traits from these QBs, and he's an expert at the QB position like no other, but he
What
fails
traits?
to ignore
JJ was
like
super regular in college.
I think it was again, like I mentioned, I think he loved his anticipation as a thrower, his I guess his release when he throws the football, his
Oh,
mobility. I think his also his ability to throw under pressure and throw and complete passes when the game matters. I think those are some things that he fell in love with and the NFL evaluators fell in love with, but ignored the fact that okay, he wasn't allowed to throw the ball a whole lot, and it was more so about the running game and not him. How can we really evaluate somebody if he's only throwing the ball 20 times a game? I think that's a limited amount of reps. Don't you say? If the offense is
very much.
predicated on the running game and not your passing ability, isn't that a red flag? I don't know. That sounds like a red flag.
Like what? Like what? He didn't have like any memorable moments or plays that you could be like, yo, turn on them JJ McCarthy highlights. Like, no. Like it like I literally was so not moved by that tape when he was coming out. And it's just now we're seeing the ramifications of that. Like, and you traded up to get this man. Like, what? I don't understand. You had a Pro Bowl QB on your team. Ain't even have to pay him $50 million and nothing crazy like Brock Purdy, and yet you just let him walk to a team that's on the up and up in the Seattle Seahawks with a bona fide uh elite receiver. I don't know. I don't know.
I will say there was remember the game versus Alabama in the conference playoff game. He had I believe it was 221 yards passing, three
Mm,
touchdowns, zero interceptions. I remember people was talking about that game. People were like, oh, see, he's really good. This is why people love JJ McCarthy. That was the game where people were like, okay, I'm a believer.
okay. I do. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, but back to the Bear side of the ball. I mean, the Bears
yeah,
they
the
just
Bears
took
are.
care of business. One thing, man, Al Harris has done a phenomenal job with that secondary. They getting turnovers every game. I wish my team still had them, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
Uh, like the Bears defense, they don't have like a whole bunch of like talent, but they get the most out of what they can with the guys that they have, and I can only respect it. But that offense, Ben Johnson can only do so much. And while Caleb
Mhm.
isn't necessarily, he's not like horrible, but for what he was drafted, you think this offense would be much more explosive than what it is. So, I mean, if Caleb got to keep developing, but I stand right now, I'm not moved by this. The 7-win team doesn't really move me. I feel like they could easily be one and done in the playoffs,
Oh yeah,
but
no doubt.
it's good experience for the young QB. Who I ain't think the Bears would have no 7-3 record at this point of the season. So I got to give them their props on that one. Ben Johnson, hey, he was highly touted as a head coach candidate for a reason.
I think what what I've heard a lot about this team and why they're winning is they're just not making mistakes. They're not turning the ball over. They're
That's
protecting
what
the
I will say
football.
about Caleb. He does not turn the ball over a lot.
And I think another thing that we have to acknowledge is how good the running game is. Now it wasn't the greatest this game, but for a lot of the season, Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift have been sensational for this team. And that has really opened up a few things for this offense. And as long as you're able to run the ball and as long as you're able to protect that football, You can do a lot of things now. I'm looking at Caleb Williams' numbers. I haven't watched the film. 16 for 32 is not impressive at all. But one thing I can say is that he did not turn the ball over, and that's important. If you don't turn the ball over, you're going to have a lot of chances to win the game. JJ McCarthy threw the ball. He turned the ball over twice. Can't do that. Just can't do that. So, like, yeah, it is what it is, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It's simple. Just protect the football. It's that simple.
Yeah. Ball security, job security, and all that good stuff. Win the turnover battle, you can win majority of your games.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much the story of and they had a pretty easy schedule. Like I ain't gonna lie.
They have, but I mean,
Yeah, they
they
had a
did
pretty,
pick. What draft pick did they have last year? Well, this year. I can't even
they
remember.
had they drafted Loveland, I think, in top 10. I think they had the 10th
Oh
pick.
yeah, they like the ninth pick or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, I think they had a fourth place schedule.
yeah, they did.
So you're gonna get a pretty easy schedule
Unless you're the
because
Giants, they smoked the Giants on the schedule this year.
like when you look at from weeks 3 on, they've been racking up wins outside of that Ravens game, bro. They played Dallas, they played Vegas, they played Washington, New Orleans, Cincinnati, New York, Minnesota. Like these are no shade to Dallas, but like these are pretty average to below average teams. They haven't
Yeah,
faced much competition, and then they have Pittsburgh next week without Rodgers. So I mean,
the Bears
yo,
are 7-3 with a -6 point differential.
we'll
That is
learn.
not
We'll learn.
good.
Hey, man, let me tell you this. We'll learn who the real Bears are from weeks 13 to 18.
Yeah. Trying to think, the Cowboys who are 3-5-1, they have at least a 3 differential. It's not even in the negatives. So
They got
that should let you know
Philly.
something.
They got Philly. They got Green Bay. They got Cleveland, which they got Green Bay again, San Francisco, and then Detroit last game of the season. So we'll see. We'll see if they can continue to win some games because they're on a nice little win streak.
The Chiefs have
But
a 73-point differential? Hmm.
all right, anyway, what else we got?
Next on the docket. What we doing? Bucks and Bills?
Yeah, let's do Bucks and Bills. Let's do Bucks.
Now, this game, I was concerned about this game because the weather, like it was high winds and stuff like that. So I figured both QBs weren't going to be able to like get the passing game going much. Uh Boy, was I wrong. They was out there letting it rip. What 30 attempts pretty much between both of them. Baker, not his greatest game. He's definitely been having a bit of a regression to the mean ever since his people kept clamoring for him to win MVP the first 4 weeks of the season, which is why we say wait until October football starts before we start crowning people because the September might as well be the preseason part two because these teams got to get their footing under him. And I remember last week I said, I believe I was on the podcast, this feels like a get right game for the Bills. And lo and behold, they got the get right. And they did it on the backs of Josh Allen and not James Cook, which is what also I had a concern with last week. And the offense was great. I mean, Josh Allen was out there doing Josh Allen things. Uh, uh, who the heck is Tyrell Shavers? Whoever he is, he had 90 yards and a touchdown. They told Keon Coleman, you get your behind on the bench, and they said they ain't miss a beat. So hey, what does that say about Keon Coleman? But yeah, man, it's just an overall good game by the Buccaneers. That's the Buccaneers, the Bills. The Buccaneers, on the other hand, like I said early in the season, I said this type of winning isn't sustainable. You're skating by games after games, having to go down to the wire against even the lowly teams like the Saints and Jets. It's just not a sustainable winning formula, and they have been losing a lot of games recently. And is it going to get better? I do think it'll get better once they get Bucky Irvin back in the mix. But honestly, Sean Tucker, he had a good game. Rashad White,
Yeah,
he was good. Like it's just it's like the passing offense has regressed. Emeka Egbuka isn't getting off like he used to. Sterling Shepard, he was the number one leading receiver on the team. It's like this team's desperately missing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I don't know why what happened to Chris Godwin again. He got hurt. He's not playing. I have no clue. And that Buccaneers secondary, awful. I mean, they can't guard nobody out there. It's literally the secondary for the Buccaneers is Antoine Winfield, Zion McCullum, and whoever else they got out there because it is bad. And like the pass rush is so uninspiring. It's ridiculous. Josh Allen could have made a sandwich in that pocket. It was bad. That defense is Todd Bowles. You are a defensive minded coach, and your defense is garbage, buddy. If you don't
you
get
pick
something done, I fear you might be on the unemployment line.
you picked the Bills just like B, right?
Yes, I did pick the Bills.
Okay, all right, yeah. It's I kind of knew this was gonna happen. 'Cause, I was like, I know Buffalo just lost to Miami last week, but looking at the way Tampa has been looking for the really since they went on that little hot streak early in the season, they're kind of getting exposed. I think the injuries are starting to affect a lot of the things that they want to do offensively. And I was never very high on the defense in the first place, just for the simple fact that they lost that one corner to the Patriots, I think it was. I forgot his name, but he was pretty good for them last year, and they lost him, which was already a depleted secondary in itself. And they're getting a lot older as well. Look at a lot of the linebackers, pass rushers. It's pretty old. So I mean, it's really just Baker or bust. And when you're missing his two top, missing his number one, number two, and you're relying on a rookie as your number one, there's only so far you can really go
Oh, Carlton
before things
Davis.
start to get affected. Yeah, Carlton Davis. So it's no surprise that they're and then also Bucky Irvin. Like you're missing a huge part of that running game. Even though Sean Tucker had an amazing game, imagine if you compare Sean Tucker with Bucky Irvin and Rashad White. Like that's an unstoppable running attack, and you're missing that. They ran the ball really good, but it's a difference between Sean Tucker and Bucky Irvin. So you're missing that. You're asking Baker Mayfield. He threw the ball 28 times, which I would think he would want to throw the ball more, but he threw the ball 28 times and only completed 16 passes for 173 yards and one touchdown, one interception. Um, wow, with Josh Allen, this dude, like, we'll talk about it on the second on the second. But yeah, he went from Clark Kent to Superman this game. Last week that was Clark Kent. This week he was Superman. Where he did 3 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns. He was the rushing offense for that team. It wasn't James Cook. It was him. Normally they win games because James Cook is he's just
Oh,
dominant on the
I got an
running
interesting
game.
stat.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are only scoring on 51% of their red zone trips. That is 25th in the league, below teams like Cleveland, the Jets, Jacksonville, Arizona, Minnesota. Yeah, that is the only teams worse than them: Chargers, Giants, Ravens, Titans, Raiders, Texans, and last place would be the Saints with 38%. So that's just not good.
I think part of that is because they're missing their their tall 6'4" receiver, and you're missing your slot guy and Chris Godwin. Those are two key pieces for you, and you're missing your goal line back as well. Those are three key guys that they would normally utilize in the red zone. Don't have those three key guys, and you're relying on a rookie who's very talented, but still needs time to grow, and you're relying on two backup running backs. You're asking a lot from your quarterback who's only 6 feet tall and not the fastest in the world to be perfect. And that's just not the case at all. Um, and Baker was playing really good football at the beginning of the season, but it seems like now it's starting to add up. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But yeah, Josh Allen was just amazing. I wish I was able to watch the entirety of film. I was only catch a little bit, but he was making some absurd throws this game. And one of his touchdowns on the ground, he was looking like Derrick Henry. He was looking like Cam Newton on one of the touchdowns. It was ridiculous. He was on another level this game.
It's like it's these games where when the Bills play at that, they can literally beat anybody.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and especially at home.
Yeah.
On the road, maybe a different story, but at home, they're damn near unbeatable. Did we talk about the Rams and Seahawks?
No, we have not.
Oh,
We did a little bit of, but not like we didn't go focus on this. So,
yeah. So I think this was, in my opinion, the most important game of the weekend because for the past, I would say, 5 to 6 weeks, we've been wondering who are the contenders in the NFC. I think we finally found our answer for who's the number one contender, and I think this game proved who's the number one team, who's the number two team, and they're in the same division. It just so happens that one team won, the other team lost. And the Rams, I think, proved they're the number one team with this performance. And I believe part of that is because pretty much the easiest indicator is the quarterback position. One guy has Stafford, the other guy has Darnold. One guy didn't turn the ball over, the other guy turned the ball over 4 times. That's the game right there. What was your thoughts?
Listen, this was a defensive struggle on all fronts, and the fact that the Seahawks, Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions and they only lost by 2 points. That I know people know the moral victories and all that stuff, but that should be kind of encouraging because you went head to head with these dudes who you people have said are the best team in your conference, and you play that bad from an offensive standpoint, and you only lose by 2 points. You shouldn't have I wouldn't hang my head if I was a Seahawks fan. You know, this is still a good team. That defense is legit. You held the Rams, and that offense only 21 points. They had Puka and Devontae Adams, and Matt Stafford only threw for 130 yards. So you can win. You can win. The Seahawks shouldn't be discouraged or anything about this. It's just any given Sunday, you know, the Rams just play better. They won the turnover battle. And guess what? They won the game. That's pretty much all that happened. You win the turnover battle, win the game.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. So let me ask you this. How confident are you on the Rams on both sides of the ball?
Matt Stafford, man, he's a monster. I'm 8 out of 10 or higher on both ends. Only thing is, I know Emmanuel Forbes has been playing much better than he was in his tenure in Washington. That secondary still isn't elite by any means necessary. That front seven is doing a lot of work for the Rams, and it's making the back end look better by association, which isn't a bad thing because it's all about the trenches, like we was talking about before the show kicked off. But yes, if anything, the downfall for the Rams would be the secondary and or Sean McVay's situational play calling.
Mm.
Because there's no way And I know the Seahawks defense is elite as well. There's no way you get 4 turnovers and walk away with only 21 points.
Sure. Good point.
And
will
some of
say,
them picks was in plus territory too.
yeah. I will say that coming into the season, I think one of the biggest question marks for this Rams team was also the offensive line. How are they going to play? Because there were some question marks regarding that side of the field in terms of the trenches, because they were still trying to rebuild that offensive line. I don't know what their grade is. I don't know what their PFF grade throughout the offensive line,
Let me see if I
but
can look it
if
up.
their offense is generating a lot of points, this game they didn't generate a whole lot of points. But as of recently, this offense has been very explosive. Puka Nacua has been sensational. I'm wondering what the offensive line is looking right now. If Sean McVay is just, I don't know, putting some makeup on it to make it look like the offensive line is good. I'm wondering what it's looking like right now, because that could also be a determining factor. It's obviously always going to be a determining factor, but in the playoffs, a lot of teams they're going to show their hand, and weaknesses are going to be exposed. So I'm curious, have the Rams figured out the offensive line problem? I gotta check that.
I'm trying to look for some grades.
Yeah, I'm looking at PFF right now. According to PFF, they've been pretty
They
good.
got solid grades, yeah.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the only guy that hasn't been good has been their right tackle.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Everybody
seeing as
else,
well.
everybody else is in the 80s.
Yep.
Kevin Dotson has a pretty bad pass blocking rate, but run blocking has been really good. He's been the second best. Coleman Shelton, sixth best offensive graded center. Steve Villa,
Yeah, Steve Avila, yeah.
yeah, is
Mhm.
fourth best guard, left guard. And their left tackle has been really good. So it seems like the offensive line has been one of the best in the NFL this year, which is an important thing to talk about in regards to, are they a real contender or not? And it just lets you know the important aspects of their team, the trenches, the quarterback, the wide receivers, all of that is really good to elite, which is why they're the best team in the NFC this year so far. It all adds up, really. It really
Yeah.
all adds up.
Tell the
Elite,
trenches, all the teams with the elite trenches, they the ones with the most wins.
elite trenches, elite head coach, elite quarterback, really good running back, elite wide receivers. I mean, what more can you really ask for? You can say, oh, if we had another corner here or there, but I'm just saying, like, the foundation set. Makes sense why they're tied for the number one seed. They're the number two seed right now because of obviously conference record and that loss to Philly. But we all know just the eye test alone tells us who's the best. And right now, they look like the best. Let's see. Move on. Yeah. Want to
Guess
talk
we could
about
do
Cleveland versus
Cleveland.
Baltimore real quick? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A whole lot of ruckus surrounding this game.
I didn't have the opportunity to see every snap from Shador because, obviously I was working, but I saw a little bit. I don't really know what to really say because he didn't have a whole lot of preparation. I heard reports that he haven't gotten any snaps with the first team offense at all. It was the
Nope.
first time they ever heard his cadence. So I don't know how to take from this game. Like, what am I supposed to take from this game other than he's just not ready? He hasn't had the necessary amount of reps to even be prepared for something like this. This just seems like a sabotage. This just seems like a disaster all in itself, from the organization up and down, from ownership to the coaching staff. That's just what it seems to me. Because how is your backup quarterback not prepared to step on the field and play when he's your backup quarterback? Like, he's not a third string, he's not on the practice squad. This is your backup quarterback. And I understand, Joe Flacco got traded maybe 3 weeks ago. Shador was like QB3 on the team. But dog, you're telling me Dylan Gabriel is so much better than Shador to where you believe we're good with Shador not taking any reps with the first team? Is that not malpractice?
According to some players, I know Shannon Sharp was saying that was ridiculous. It's kind of like mixed because like Kurt Warner said, the backup doesn't really get reps with the ones, but he said not really. He ain't say never. He
Mm-hmm.
said they at least get a couple, like one or two reps throughout the week or throughout blah blah blah. But yeah, he got thrown into the fire against a Ravens team that was getting a lot of pressure in that game, and that's what happened. Like Shador, honestly, he doesn't handle pressure the best, in my opinion. Um, so a lot of throws were off target. He had an intentional grounded penalty. It wasn't the best, but when he had time, it looked like he could get something done. He made a couple throws. I was okay, there's something there, but this will be this upcoming week. He's more than likely going to get the start because Dylan Gabriel's
Yeah,
still in concussion protocol, so he'll have a full week to prepare before they go against who they playing this week.
that's a
They
good
played the
question. I didn't.
Raiders, so the
Oh,
Raiders.
this is
This would
yeah,
be if
gonna
he
be a
can't
good
hoop
game.
against the Raiders. Hey, I might have to. I ain't gonna drop the flag completely, but I'm gonna fall back a little bit. So I ain't gonna put too much stock into that performance or anything like that. It wasn't a good performance. Obviously, he just got thrown into the fire like that. But yeah, I can't really make too much of that. Get, but man, this Browns defense is ridiculous. If
Mm.
they just didn't have to be on the field all the time because the offense is absolutely putrid, the Browns would be such a special unit. But alas, Mason Graham is a
Mm.
hooper. Myles Garrett had 4 freaking sacks. Denzel Ward is great. Is Carson Schwarzenegger? He's playing. He's a rookie. He's playing like an All-Pro caliber player. I mean,
That dude
like,
is the ball.
what more can you really do on that side of the ball? And you can only hold off Lamar Jackson and the Ravens for so long before they just eventually get some points on the board. It's just, man, the GM has done a great disservice in assembling a competent offense and addressing the QB position.
When was the last time a defensive player won Defensive Player of the Year on a losing team?
That is a great question. I don't even know.
Because I feel like Miles Garrett should win Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I
You
know,
kidding me?
I know the team sucks. I know the team sucks, but like, he is making a gourmet meal out of scraps. It's crazy. It's crazy how bad this team is, but he's still eating. Like, he had, I want to say, was it 5 sacks against the
Yeah,
Patriots,
yeah. He had
and they
5 against the
lost.
Patriots. Yep. And had 4 this game. Some dudes don't even get 9 sacks in a full year. He got 9 sacks in 2 games.
Let me look at the Browns just defensive rate.
Man had 14, 12 plus sacks in like 6 straight seasons, something crazy like that. Dude is a lock, first ballot, easy.
So let me ask you this question. So total defense, where do you think the Browns are ranked in total defense right now?
They're like 3, ain't they?
They're two.
Mm.
They're above the Broncos. They're above my Packers. They're above the Chargers,
Who's won? The Eagles?
the Texans.
Oh, duh. I forgot the Texans.
So let me
That's
ask you another
crazy.
question. Let me ask you another question. What where do you think the Browns are ranked in passing defense?
They're one, right?
Yeah, they're one. They're one. Now they're like middle of the pack on rushing defense. They're like 14th,
Mm.
and scoring defense they are where are they? They're 18th. They are the 18th ranked scoring defense. Which, like you mentioned, when you're on the field so much, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I think that's because they're on the field a lot. Looking at the other stats, they're seventh in red zone defense. They are eighth in third down defense. Bro, like these are some elite
It's it's
stats.
it's ridiculous.
These are some elite stats. And it's because of him. Well, mainly him, but there's some other guys, but like he's the main contributor. I know we're supposed to give it to the winning guy, but I don't know what else to say. The stats speak for themselves. But it is what it is. I got nothing to say. Salute to the Ravens. They are 5-5. They're a game back from the Steelers. Lamar Jackson, he comes back and immediately the team just starts to get their groove back. And you know what I want to say about the Ravens? I thought their window was closed this year, but
Yeah.
with everything going on in the AFC, they still got a chance. As crazy as it
They honestly
sounds,
do. The defense
as
is
crazy.
the defense is improving week by week.
Look at Buffalo and look at the Chiefs right now. I'm just saying, Buffalo, yeah, they 7-3, but if you can stop their running game, they got a shot. And then Kansas City is Kansas City. Yeah, playoffs are a different beast. But that offensive line is very shaky. And the Ravens, they did have Mike McDonald, who is an amazing defensive mastermind. But so far, with how they're playing, if they can replicate what they did in that championship game 2 years ago against the Chiefs, all they got to do is protect that football. That's been the Achilles heel of the Ravens the entire playoffs is the turnovers. If they can protect that football, I'm telling you, they got a shot. They really do. It's a long season.
It is a long season.
A long season. Moving on. Moving on. Let's move on. What else? What else? Um, so talk to me about your team. Talk to me
Yes, the
about
Dallas
that game.
Cowboys versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, Quentin Williams saved our life. That defense looked nearly night and day compared to previous weeks with the addition of it was a couple people came actually quite a few people came back. Malik Hooker came back, Donna Wilson came back. Listen, I was a proponent of saying they weren't that good, but let me tell you something. They was better than what we had in the previous week. So I'll take it. Uh,
Yeah.
Logan Wilson came in and had some good snaps. Obviously Quentin Williams was a monster. Overshown didn't play a whole lot, but the snaps he did play, he was running well out there. Savon Ravel made his debut. I think only played like 11 snaps or something like that. But he made some plays. He made some plays. Besides that defensive holding he had. But the story of the game was defense, the defensive line in particular, because Osa was getting going crazy. There's something we've been waiting to see ever since we paid him early in the season. Who knew that having another elite defensive player on the line would open things up for him? Literally everybody. James Houston was in the mix. Donovan Ezeraku. Man, let me tell you something. The
Ah,
fact
that's
that
my
people
guy.
let Donovan Ezeraku fall that late in the second round, I don't understand what people are looking at on scouting. He was a first round talent in my eyes. And a lot of
Me
teams
too.
that could have used him passed him up. And I'm thankful for that because that man is a monster against the run, and he's stacking good days in the pass. He's getting a lot of pressure out there. He's the highest graded edge rusher on PFF for the rookie class, above
Wow.
Abdul
Really?
Carter.
That's crazy.
And if Carson Schlesinger wasn't going crazy like he is in Cleveland, Ezra would be the runner up for the front runner for defensive rookie of the year. So it's man, what a freaking pick. And George Pickens, oh my goodness. Thank you, Pittsburgh, for giving us George Pickens. This dude is unreal sometimes. Like I, I, I don't want to get reckless. I don't want to get reckless about my dog CD, but George Pickens is second in the league in receiving yards with almost 20 less targets compared to JSN, who's number one, or 20 less catches. So do with that information as you will. But yeah, defense, George Pickens. Dak Prescott had 4 TDs. He was shaky to start the game. He had that fumble and all that stuff. I was like, oh Lord, this is gonna be the Dak troll game. But then he locked in and got back on track. So hey, salute to Dak. Way to respond after such a tragic event and Marshawn Nealon's death and everything. This team showed some heart. Um, I just really proud of D. I know it's the Raiders. The Raiders stink. I mean, the Raiders had one less win than we had going into the game. I mean, it's not like we some elite team or anything. So I'll take the wins we can get them. Got a big test in Philly coming up. We're home though, so that's going to really be that game's going to show whether this defense has turned over a new leaf or is it just bad team merchants. But even then, the bad teams was cooking us too. Shoot, we saw what the Cardinals did to us and what they did against the 49ers, which was nothing. So, hey, it is what it is. We'll take the wins we could get them. I just like to see the improvement on the defense side of the ball. The Raiders, on the other hand, I got a question, Aaron.
Uh-oh.
Why in the world did they draft Ashton Genty to only give him 6 carries? What like it is just malpractice year after year in the draft. They would be better off trading every single first round pick they get every year for a player because good grief they can't draft. Brock Bowers was a hit, congratulations, but shoot, he was bottled up last night. That was what they the Raiders they can't get right, man. You could ship them over to a new city, build a whole new stadium, $1 billion. They still can't get right. They still can't get right. I don't
I
know.
guess Tom.
Geno Smith is terrible. You bring in Pete Carroll, who has a history of being a winning coach, and this is the worst season of his coaching career. Like that is a cursed organization.
Yeah, I guess Tom Brady wasn't in the draft room. They drafted Ashton Jensen. You know what I mean? Because even Tom Brady would tell you that it all starts with the foundation. Or maybe he did advocate for Ashton Jensen. I don't know, but normally when you have a Hall of Famer, arguably, well, not arguably, he's the definitive GOAT at your helm as a part owner, and you still can't win no football game. You still can't build no foundation. You
It's
still
funny.
a complete mess.
It's funny
Good.
because Tom Brady. How many elite RBs Tom Brady had in his career when he won a Super Bowl?
Shoot,
Zero.
zero. Zero.
So like I don't understand, man. It's like you said, you building a house without the foundation. Like it's not going to work. So now you wasted a year of what could be an elite RB's prime because you don't have an offensive line, and then you don't even want to give them the ball. So the Raiders are a mess. They are a freaking mess.
This is not like a one on. This is not like a one-on-one comparison because the Falcons they have a way better offensive line at the time. But remember Bijan Robinson when he got drafted to the Falcons and they didn't want to
Yeah,
utilize him to his full capability? That was more so like a scheme thing. But like we talked about this years ago about Chip Kelly and his scheme, and does it is Ashton Genty, is his running style, does it fit his scheme, and then also the offensive line? It's just not good at all. Like nothing works. It's the wrong scheme. It's not the right offensive lineman. I don't know what they were thinking. It just seems like they were trying to get a lot of splash players. They were trying to get a lot of big names and sell tickets, and not trying to build an actual football team, if that makes sense.
It
Because
makes sense.
because if they were really trying to win football games, who had the pick? I think Patriots had the fourth pick. They had a pick ahead of Raiders, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
or was
and
the
I believe. Yeah, I don't. The Raiders was picking either fifth or sixth. I know that for sure.
because I think Will Campbell he went pretty early, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
went fourth to the Patriots, and then Mason Graham went five, I believe, and then the Raiders went Genty at six, if my memory
Yeah,
serves right.
Will Campbell went fourth. That was the first offensive lineman taken, and then Genty went sixth. Remember, our man
Membu,
Membao,
yeah,
Membu, Membu went seven to. So Membu went right after Genty. They could have used Membu this season
they could
on the
have.
Raiders. It would have helped tremendously with, hey, maybe Gino doesn't throw a ginormous amount of picks. Maybe he cuts down his turnovers. But
Then the
uh,
tackle from Texas went to the Saints, Kelvin Banks. They
Tyler
could have used
Booker as
him
well. He
too.
went to Alabama. Tyler Booker, remember him?
Yeah,
He went to
yep,
Alabama. These are names that they could have
good game.
used. Greg Zabel, who I had no clue. Seattle drafted him. I don't know how good he's been, but it seems like Seattle is winning and the offense is playing pretty well. So I'm assuming he has something to contribute to it.
He's been really
These are just
good.
names. These are names. These are names that they could have considered. They could have traded down, drafted offensive lineman. They could have drafted Membu, number 6. There's so many things they could have done. This was a good offensive line draft,
It
and they
was a good
elected to go
RB
with
class too. They really could have traded
it
down
was
and drafted like a Judkins or something.
Judkins, yeah, yeah. Because let me look at the next round, round 2.
Or
Um,
Travion went in the second round. Judkins went in the second round. I believe.
I don't think
Did
they have
Dylan
a
Sampson?
they had a pick. They did have a pick in the second round, but it was like a late second.
Mm,
By then, I believe, looking at round 2, by then Judkins was gone, Travion Henderson was gone, but they still had a second. You can still try to trade up. Matter of fact, I think they did trade. Yeah, you know what? You know what happened? I think they traded with Houston. Oh, wait. No, that's New York. I'm trying to make sure they from Miami through Las Vegas. Anywho, they had a second round pick, and they elected to go with just the wide receiver from TCU, which makes absolutely no
Yeah.
sense. But whatever. Instead of solidifying that offensive line, but it is what it is. That's the
Bad
Raiders
teams
for you.
gonna stay bad.
Bad teams are going to stay bad. I thought Pete Carroll was going to bring some type of life to that team, and he couldn't even bring life to that team. Tom Brady couldn't even bring life to that team. It just seems like a bunch of names with no sort of plan in place. But it's whatever. That's just the way it is. Bad ownership is going to be bad ownership from the top, bottom. Simple. Anywho, let's move on. Real quick, San Francisco, Arizona. Not surprising. San Francisco gave them that bill. Jacoby Brissett had over 400 yards passing. That was interesting. I think
Broke the
I
record
haven't
for most
seen
completions in the NFL game.
I haven't seen a Cardinals quarterback throw for that many yards since maybe Carson Palmer, it's been a pretty long time. The fact that I've never seen Kyler have like a game like that is interesting. But Jacoby Brissett can have over 400 yards passing is insane. But he had 2 interceptions, so it doesn't really matter. And they got their butt kicked by the 49ers anyway. 41 points. Cardinals generated only 22 points. It's no surprise.
Yeah, from the jump, it was bad. They was up 14-3 before you knew it. And then after that, it just snowballed after that. Brock Purdy came back. I ain't gonna lie, as much as Mac Jones was able to steer the ship, maintain, not make sure everything's going well. The offense did look much better with Brock Purdy at the helm. Especially George Kittle. George Kittle was involved a lot more when Brock plays. And I believe they have like one of the higher like QB tight end touchdown like relationship type stats out there.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, my fantasy team thanks you, Brock Purdy. Please stay
Yeah,
healthy. The playoffs is coming up. We need you.
Brock Purdy. He's a
And
he's a
CMC
he's a
obviously was going crazy. So
he just needs to stay healthy because he's been hurt a lot this year. Um, moving on. This was probably the most surprising game of this past Sunday. Jacksonville versus uh, Los Angeles Chargers. 35-6. I didn't see that being the outcome of the game. That was a complete beatdown from start to finish. The Chargers were only able to generate 6 points. They went scoreless in the second half, which is unheard of for a offense with Justin Herbert at the helm. Justin Herbert was 10 for 18 passing, 81 yards passing, 1 interception, sacked 2 times. And now I need to watch the film because I don't know if this is a Justin Herbert problem, if this is an offensive line problem, if this is a scheme problem. But 81 yards passing, bro? How? How is that possible? I don't understand
like,
how something like that could happen.
I don't understand. You got blown out this bad and you only ran 45 plays on off like that. That is such a peculiar game. Like the Jags wasn't even going crazy. Trevor Lawrence only threw for 153 yards. ETN only had two and ETN both had 70 plus yards a carry. I mean 70 plus yards each. So the run game was killing them. But that was such a weird game. Like every time I would see the score pop up red, I'm like, what is going on over there? I'm gonna have to see
I
what some
really, I
some
really don't
some
know.
Chargers content creators or some media people have to say. Because what in the world?
Guys must have been out partying the night before. They must have been in the club partying the
They
night
must have been
before,
drinking
going to
that
strip
Florida
club or
water
something.
or something. Because
I don't, I don't know. They were in Florida. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they went to Miami before the game. The night before they just was partying, and then all of a sudden they come back. I don't know. That was a complete abomination by the
this
Chargers.
Chargers team is
Yeah,
they fraudulent in my eyes, but
they always been fraudulent. That's the funny thing. They always been fraudulent.
yeah, a lot of people we saw it early in the season. They was losing to they lost to the freaking Giants.
Some of that has to do, with Joe O going
And
out.
injuries, yeah, all that. Yeah, true.
Yeah, but they're still missing Joe O, and I still think they shouldn't have lost 35-6 to Jacksonville. Like Jacksonville, they're one of those teams where they're they're well coached, but they still have their own problems. And the fact that you lost to that team, if they lost to like the Rams or if they lost to like the Colts or a team with an elite roster with a really good uh play caller at home, I could understand. But you lose to a team with Trevor Lawrence as the quarterback, a first year head coach, a team that offensively is missing
Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas
and
Jr.
Travis Hunter.
and Travis Hunter, bro. Like, come on, man. What we doing? What we doing? Travis
Not winning,
Etienne,
that's what.
Travis Etienne didn't even have a great game. He averaged 3.8 yards a carry. Tootin was playing better than him. Now Etienne had like 2 TDs, but like Tootin was playing better than him, and you lost the game. Like you couldn't stop the run. It was just an abomination. One of those games where you just burn the tape.
Yes, burn the tape immediately.
Yeah, you gotta burn the tape. Moving on. Yeah, Carolina, Atlanta. There's no hope. This
Yeah,
team.
that what a mismanagement by Fontenot, because he came in as the GM and drafted Kyle Pitts at 4, which I was like, I don't care how much of a generation, you do not draft a tight end at 4. Then they drafted Bijan Robinson, didn't have a plan. He employed Arthur Smith, Raheem Morrison, all of it. Then traded his first round pick. Don't now expecting the team to be in contention. Gave Kirk Cousins all that money and still drafted Michael Penix at 8. It's just an overall mismanagement with
Abomination.
that team. That is a disaster class in how to be a GM.
You know what else is the problem with drafting Michael Penix now? Talked about this before about like if they're gonna sit him for a year, let him learn behind Kirk Cousins, I like the idea. But dude, you take a gamble on a guy who's had multiple surgeries on his legs, a guy that when we saw him in the championship game, whenever he faced any sort of pressure, he looked like a deer in headlights. His accuracy went completely down. You're really banking on that kind? I just don't understand. I don't. That it's just so many horrible decisions. Hiring the wrong coach. They had so many coaching interviews of
They
guys
they
that they
they
could have
interviewed
gone
Mike
with.
McDonald. They interviewed
Oh my
Vrabel. They
God.
interviewed Ben Johnson. They interviewed. Oh
I don't think Ben
man,
Johnson would have taken
no,
accepted the
well,
job.
yeah, I don't think he would have, but they interviewed him, so
Yeah, they had so
it was
many guys.
yeah.
And they went with Raheem Morris. I thought Raheem Morris might bring something to the table because he came from the Rams and he brought in the passing game coordinator from the Rams. I'm thinking, okay, this offense
He's an
will
Aaron Donald
be a lot
merchant.
better. Bro, what does he do besides talk good at the podium? Like, what does he do? Seriously, he is not
Wears
a head
those
coach.
he wears those high waters joggers that Mike McDaniel and Aaron Glenby wearing.
He is not a head coach. He's just not head coach material for whatever reason. This team, I like the defense actually. The defense is playing pretty decent, but that offense, where's the just explosiveness? Where's the consistency on offense? It's just not there. They have so much talent on offense, and they still have problems at talent. Now this game, they played Carolina. They scored 27 points, but in the defense, unfortunately, this game they weren't able to stop Bryce Young and Tedero McMillan. Unfortunately,
Man,
so
Tet killed him.
the defense let them down this game. But man, it's just like, where's the discipline? Where is where's the growth? There's no growth. This team looks unprepared half the time. Sometimes they're giving Bijan enough touches. Some games they're not. There's just no consistency.
Bijan got plenty of touches this game.
Yeah, he definitely
Ultimately, it
did.
didn't matter.
Nope, nope, it didn't. They're stuck with him. They're stuck. What are you gonna do? You're
And
gonna
now,
fire
and
another
now
coach?
Penix, they saying this ACL injured, so better hope Kirk
Can't
Cousins
draft it.
worth all that money.
They can't draft a quarterback. Most of the
You
I'm
can't
telling
draft
you this right now.
anybody in the first round.
No. Most of the good quarterbacks, they're going to be probably stay another year. The only guys that are going to come out is like Ty Simpson and Mendoza. That's about it. Everybody else, like Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers, nobody wants Garrett Nussmeyer. Who wants Garrett Nussmeyer?
A team that
These
wants to be
guys,
picking top 5 again.
like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna draft Cade Klubnik? You're
Klubnik,
gonna draft
ugh.
Cade Klubnik? Like nobody wants Cade Klubnik. Come on. These are the quarterbacks you're gonna have to look at. And unfortunately that's just not gonna work. Atlanta is a lost cause. I feel bad for a lot of the Falcons fans. They've been through hell since they've gone to the Super Bowl. Let's move on to
Let's
because
get to your team. I think that's the
I
last
know
team.
I was waiting for that too. I was waiting for that too. That is the last team. Well, we didn't talk
Well,
about
Texans
Washington
and
versus
Titans.
Miami.
Oh yeah.
We ain't talking about New England, New York. New England, New York, Washington, Miami. Uh, Real quick, I'll keep this out the way. Washington, Miami. I'm cool off this game. I wasn't really watching this game until the very end. These are two bad football teams. I had Miami winning this game. They won the game in an ugly
Barely.
slugfest
But
that went into overtime. Don't really care much. That's just
yeah,
my
both
thoughts.
offenses didn't look good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on that matter. Jets versus the Patriots, same thing.
Justin Fields is done in this league.
I'm I didn't really care about this game. I already knew the Patriots were gonna win this game. Like, Drake May, we already know Drake May is one of the best in the league. This is a team that is just going up while the Jets they continue to be one of the bottom feeders. So there's not much really to say about this game at all, except the better team won. They knew they were going to win, and Stephon Diggs had a really good game. It's just simple as that. Justin Fields, I think at this time for the remainder of his career, he's going to be a backup. I think he's just a backup at this point in his career. Unfortunately, um, you know, you can stay in the league for a long time as a backup. Look at Marcus Mariota. I thought he was a bum, but hey, he's a backup. So Justin Fields, hey, he could be a backup for a team as long as he can be in the good graces of the coaches. He can remain in the league for a long time. So that's all I got to say about Justin Fields because yeah, it didn't look too good this game.
Yep.
All right, let's. I think we're in the last game. Right? It's the last game right here. Uh,
What,
my
Texans
team.
and Titans?
I forgot it. That game is so like. Uh, yeah. No CJ Stroud. They still won. The Titans, worst team in football. No surprise. Don't really care much. But hey,
Yeah,
Houston, they're five
I
and
really
five.
have nothing to say about this.
Hey, hey, all I can say is Houston got a really good defense.
They do.
Um, and that's that. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. All right, let's go to the final game. Yeah,
The Green Bay Packers.
yeah,
I'm gonna give you a solo shot right here for 1 second.
yeah. Do you think? Do you think? I'll let you control everything. You be producer today. All right. So let me say this. How do I want to start this? Okay, I'll start it. Um, beginning of the game, the offense, yet again, it seemed like we were having trouble going down. Wasn't necessarily the pass protection, it was receivers were dropping the ball. Um, and that was really a lot of the story of that game. And then all of a sudden, I think it was, I want to say Jordan Love got hurt and Malik Willis came into the game. And we got that big run from Willis. We got another big run from, I think it was either Chris Brooks or Josh Jacobs. And then Christian Watson made an amazing catch in the end zone that sparked this offense going forward. I was a little uh, taken aback by the defense. I thought that the defense was a little bit too conservative. They were playing a lot of zone, and I was taken aback a little bit by that because I wanted them to be a lot more aggressive in certain downs of the game. Like I would see 3rd and 5, and Jeff Hafley would call a zone scheme, and the corners would give so much space to receivers, and the receivers for the Giants would be wide open. Either the tight end or receiver would be wide open in the zone. And I'm like, how is he so open? So I was taken aback because I wanted them to play more man coverage, but that's just the scheme of Jeff Hafley. He rather go a death by 1,000 paper cuts. Let them do 14 play drives. They'll eventually make a mistake. Then take a chance every so often, take a gamble, and hey, we might get an interception, we might get a sack, fumble, whatever. Anywho, so the defense was a bit underwhelming for this game, but we still only gave up 20 points. And Evan Williams, remember that name. He's going to make the Pro Bowl this year. Evan Williams is one of the best safeties in the NFL. This dude, I got to give Gutekunst, the GM, credit. He found this dude, I think, in the middle of the draft. I think it was either 2023 or 2024 we found Evan Williams. This dude is a stud. Now, Jameis Winston is pretty bad. Part of that was Jameis Winston, but Evan Williams, dog, he made a clutch interception when we needed it the most that we haven't had this entire season. That was unbelievable. Give credit to Evan Williams for that because we needed that because they were near the red zone when he made the interception. Let me get to Jordan Love now. Let me get to Jordan Love. I saw Richard Sherman's tweet. Richard Sherman, he was trying to get his narrative. He was trying to get that narrative off. He was like, "Oh my God." He was like, pretty much to sum it up, he was like, "Man, Jordan Love goes out, and all of a sudden the offense looks really good." Like he was trying to get that agenda off. Richard Sherman, you too smart to be doing some stuff like that. Be doing that casual troll nonsense.
Reactionary foolishness.
You too smart to be doing that. You feeding into see you're becoming the thing that you hate the most. A troll. Feeding into rage bait. You're becoming the thing that you hate. You're trying to get that off, but you look real silly now. Anywho, back to what I was saying. Jordan Love gets hurt. Malik Willis scored the touchdown. Jordan Love comes back. And I got to say this. After watching the film, this is a top 3 Jordan Love game. People are going to say, but he only threw for 174 yards passing. See, this is why you got to watch the all 22. This is why you got to watch the film because context matters. Let me tell you something. Jordan Love should only really have maybe 3 incompletions this game. Every other incompletion was a drop pass. Somebody wasn't there where they were supposed to be. That was the story of the entire game. Jordan Love was flawless in this game. The ball placement, the anticipation, his ability to go through his progressions on time, his footwork. Even when his footwork wasn't the greatest, he was still able to get the ball off to Xavier Williams for that clutch throw after throw after throw, and then eventual throw to Christian Watson for the touchdown. Jordan Love hurt his shoulder, went to the locker room. People was all concerned, like, "Oh my God, Jordan Love was hurt." You know what Jordan Love did? He did what Jay-Z said on that song. He said, "You know what? Go get some dirt off your shoulders. Get your dirt off your shoulders, man." That's all it was. He had dirt on his shoulders. He got that off, and he came back. And this dude, he put the Superman cape on, and he was the number 1 reason why we won that game. If Jordan Love wasn't on his A+ game, we lose that game. Guaranteed. You don't have Josh Jacobs in the second half. You don't have Tucker Craft. He's out for the season. You lose Elton Jenkins for the year, who's your starting center, and you're still able to come back and win that game. Enough said. Let me show you some stats. I have some stats. Um, Jordan Love to truly it truly summarized how good of a quarterback he was in Week 11, if I can find it. Um, let's see where is it? Here we go. So Brian, so Jordan Love, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jordan Love deep pass percentage. Jordan Love was number one on deep pass percentage, and on tight window percentage, he was top four on tight window percentage. Think about that. He had, I think, 6 drops in that game from wide receiver.
Insanity.
He had 2 missed extra points from his kicker. He had backup running backs running the football for him. And yet, Jordan Love was still able, even on a bad shoulder, to win them the football. Jordan Love was still able to throw that ball in tight coverage against all the odds. Accurate to Xavier Williams, accurate to Christian Watson. This dude was sensational. I'm going to say it right now, right here. There's only 5 QBs. When healthy, I'm taking over Jordan Love. I don't care what anybody says. That's Lamar, that's Josh Allen, that's Burrow, that's Patrick Mahomes, and that's Stafford. I think those 5 QBs have mastered the quarterback position. Everybody else, you can name me Justin Herbert. You can name me Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Drake May, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. All these QBs you can have. I'll take Jordan Love because I know for a fact a lot of those QBs, Jordan Love is either on par or a little bit better than, in my opinion. Because look what he has to deal with week after week after week with average to below average wide receiver and tight end play and pretty below average offensive line play. His offensive line, we can't run the ball. We can barely pass protect. I was fighting with a dude on Instagram. He trying to argue, oh, the Packers pass protection isn't all that bad. Dummy. The reason why the pass block win rate is so high is because we're throwing short passes. We're getting the ball out of his hands so fast to avoid the pass rush from getting to Jordan Love. If you watch the film, you would know that whenever we're doing like long progressed passing concepts, the O line can't hold up. So this is what I'm talking about with like casuals trying to talk about the sport that I love, that I watch on a daily basis. Jordan Love, not many QBs can do what he did. Not many QBs can overcome the odds like he did. Last week I said he has slowly regressed. Keyword slowly. That means not a whole lot. That means he can still bounce back from this. And did he bounce back? Because last week he was going through his progressions way too quickly. This week he was exceptional. He was exceptional. And I think for Jordan Love's, I think the next level for Jordan Love is and I was listening to Pack a Day podcast. Shout out to them. Pre-snap, he still needs to learn in regards to coverages pre-snap, because there's times where his eyes will look at a different direction than what he should be looking to pre-snap. So when he snaps the ball and he's going through his progression, and you see that he misses a corner route to Romeo Dobbs, that's because he didn't identify the coverage well enough pre-snap. So he still has times where he has to improve as a quarterback. But damn, is he good right now? And damn, is he close to being at that elite level? I just wish that he had more talent around him to really unlock his capability. Because damn, this guy is special. He is a special quarterback. You can have Justin Herbert, you can have Jalen Hurts, you can have all these other quarterbacks. I'll take Jordan Love over any of them, besides the 5 quarterbacks that I named, because that's how good he is.
Mm. That's gonna be some controversial opinion right there, but Jordan Love, he is really good, man. Like you said, I do agree with you said the next step for him is pre-snap reads and all that stuff and identifying coverage, stuff like that. Man, they need to get him some real weapons, because 6 drops is outrageous. It's not like the Giants are the greatest defense in the world or anything. Like they have a good front 7 and that's about it. So yeah, just the adversity, way to battle through adversity for Jordan Love and the Packers. The defense wasn't playing super great, but then they showed up when it mattered the most. And Michael Parsons came in, he pretty much iced the game for y'all, even though it was a Hail Mary attempt. But the Giants, they've been a tough game for a lot of teams.
They are.
But it was a good win. I was entertained by the game. The Giants played better than I thought they were, especially with Jameis Winston at them. But Jameis Winston, he tried his best to throw about 8 picks that game. I was like, good grief, boy. You getting lucky these dudes can't catch. Because it was this one jump. It was tipped up in the air. And I was like, oh yeah, the y'all gonna come down with this one. I was like, how did they not pick that off? It was just crazy, man. Yeah, the Pack, that was a good win. Good win, closer than you would probably like for comfort, but hey, it all counts on the win column the same. But man, you got to get some off season. Got to be focused on getting some weapons.
I agree. I think Tucker Craft coming back will help tremendously, and I also think I was listening to the podcast. This guy, he's this he played in the league and he covers the Packers. He said something that I didn't think about, or maybe I did talk about it a little bit, because you talked about Matthew Golden. You were wondering why they're not targeting him enough, and I said, well, Matthew Golden is route running. He still is learning some of the minute details, and the guy talked about Matthew Golden's route running, and he said maybe the coaching staff isn't comfortable enough to have him run different routes, the dig routes, the post routes. They're just having him on the outside running a lot of fades and go routes and stuff like that. And so I think next year what's going to happen is Romeo Dobbs is going to leave for free agency because a team's going to offer him $15 million a year. He's an average wide receiver. And what's going to happen is Matthew Golden is now going to be in that Romeo Dobbs role, where you're going to see him running those digs, those post routes, those corner routes that Romeo Dobbs is running. I think right now, the Packers offense can be a bit difficult for a rookie wide receiver to learn on the fly. Look at Devontae Adams when he first came in. He wasn't getting a whole lot of reps. He wasn't getting a whole lot of receptions from Aaron Rodgers when he first came to the league. He had a drop issue as well. So I think for next season, I'm wondering. I believe Matthew Golden next year we'll see a better version of him than what we're seeing right now. I just think right now he's still learning some of the fundamentals of being a route runner and there was a play during the game where Jordan Love he was and by the way, Jordan Love was throwing the ball, like he was really carrying the ball out this game. They were running a lot of play action this game, which I really love. They were being a lot more aggressive than they were in the previous weeks. But Jordan Love, he threw the ball down the field towards Matthew Golden. It looked like it was either a fade or a go route. And what happened is that Matthew Golden, he didn't know where to track the ball. Jordan Love, you know how sometimes the quarterback will throw the ball, like he'll throw like a 50-yard pass, but towards the sideline instead of just throwing the ball like instead of like inside, he's throwing it towards the sideline. Matthew Golden thought that he was going to throw the ball more so inside than outside. And I think at this point of his career, I think one of the problems is that Matthew Golden is still trying to figure out that chemistry with Jordan Love. I don't think they have a good chemistry just yet. Matthew Golden is immensely talented. Like his hands are made of glue. He catches damn near everything. But I do believe at this moment he's still trying to learn just some of the route running concepts and just different things when it comes to having a connection with the quarterback that he just hasn't developed yet. And I believe that's why we haven't seen a lot of Matthew Golden at this moment. And part of that is because of the Green Bay offense it's very hard to really master as a rookie. You're not going to get it down day one. And this has been a common theme for them for the past 10 years when we've drafted wide receivers over the years. And that's why maybe they didn't want to draft a wide receiver in the first round because of this predicament that these wide receivers have to go through. And it's a long process. And if you're going to take a gamble on a wide receiver in the first round, normally when you draft somebody in the first round, you want to see instant production. But with wide receivers, especially the Green Bay Packers, a lot of times it takes a year or two before they really start to come to their own. Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, even Jaden Reed to a certain extent. Like it takes them time. And I think Golden next year, when Dobbs is gone, they're going to put him in that Dobbs role. And that's when we'll finally get to see, like, okay, is Golden really good? Is he really did he really get a connection with Jordan Love? Like I think that's what we have to wait on.
This is why I'm always team production in college. Because Matthew Golden had all this good film. He's getting open, but he ain't getting the ball. And if he was
He
getting
was
the
pretty
ball as
good.
much, if he was, yeah, but like, look at the difference between Tet season and Matthew Golden season. This is night and day. Ted, people, Ted, he's not getting separation. But Ted McMillan, I believe, right now is sixth in yards for wide receivers as a rookie. And Matthew Golden, well, he's hurt right now, but he hasn't had a 100-yard game yet. And this is why I say production is king in college. It goes not just for wide receivers, but like edge rushers as well, and QBs and all kind of like. It's just you gotta go, guys, because with more production becomes more experience. Maybe if Matt Golden was getting more targets and stuff like that, he would understand more of the nuances of okay, I need this to run this route here instead of here, even though I'm getting open regardless, but the timing may not be right. Oh, maybe instead of going more inside on the go route, I have to go more toward the sideline because that's the harder throw for the DB to make a play on. So it's those type of things. Like I'm just like, give me the guy that's producing in college over the dude that just has really good film.
I will say that you make a good point because if you look at his college, I don't think his college stats were that bad in Texas. I think what the problem is that he didn't sustain that consistency throughout his college career because you remember he started at Houston and then he transferred to Texas. When he was at Houston, he didn't have a whole lot of production. Like he had half the yards that he had at Texas. So like he had nearly 1,000 yards at Texas. He had 9 touchdowns. At Houston, he had 400 yards this last year. His freshman year, he had 584 yards and 7 touchdowns. While when you look at Tedero McMillan, he goes to Arizona and he's getting 700 yards, eight touchdowns as a freshman. Sophomore year, he has 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, and his last year at 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. So your production point makes a lot of sense in terms of the consistency. You want to see it for years on end, just to see if he's really an established number one guy. If he's somebody that is getting a lot of receptions, a lot of reps as the number one guy. And I understand that, but you also got to remember he was sharing the field with Isaiah Bond, who's also a really good player,
And Xavier Worthy.
and Xavier Worthy. But no. Xavier Worthy, he I don't think he was there when Xavier Worthy,
Oh, so he just
he was at
transferred to Texas last year?
yeah, remember. So he played
Oh.
2024. He was at Houston in 2023. Xavier Worthy got drafted 2024.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but he still
I
had
thought it
he
was
still had
always
to share he still had to share receptions with Isaiah Bond, who
Yeah,
many people believe was the number one receiver on that Texas team
they
until
did.
and yeah, people thought coming into the season Isaiah Bond was the number one receiver on that Texas team. But then over time, Golden just started to come out of nowhere and he was just balling. Like he would make a lot of the big plays for them. Remember the Georgia game or the Arizona State game? Like these are big games that Golden was just able to outmatch elite level college competition. He was making a lot of very impressive catches. I just think right now, you mentioned the snaps, the receptions, the productivity. It wasn't necessarily there in college on a consistent basis. I still believe in the talent. I still believe that he can eventually become a very good receiver for us. It's just right now, this Packers offense, it's just going to take some time. That's all I got to say. It's just going to take some time. All
Yep.
right. I think that'll do it for this week's slate of games. Let's get to the final segment. Let's get to the salute segment. Who are you saluting this week?
All right. First on the list, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it is Josh Allen with 6 touchdowns against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had 317 yards in the air, 3 TDs in the air, and he also got it done on the ground. He had 40 rushing yards and 3 TDs on the ground. One of the few, the very few to ever do it in NFL history. Not once, but twice in his career. Salute Josh Allen. Second on the list, we got George Pickens, GP3 against the Las Vegas Raiders, coming off a bye week, 9 catches, 144 yards, 1 TD, and he had some beast mode like runs out there after the catch too. The man was unstoppable all night. And I think this might have been the first time this person has made the salute segment for the past 2 seasons. Bryce Young going against the Atlanta Falcons, getting it done in overtime, 448 yards, 3 TDs. Hey, man, I said I wasn't impressed with him. He's proven me. He showed me something this past week. So just to recap, we got Josh Allen, 6 TDs, George Pickens with a monster performance, and Bryce Young putting up nearly 500 yards through the air, getting it done in overtime. Salute.
Great list, man. Great list. Josh Allen, I mentioned before, he put on a Superman cape. He really did it this week. Great list. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials. We'll see you guys in the next episode of Courtside Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Salute.